Revealed, how a homeless girl inspired a billionaire's daughter, the transformative act that changed everything. Lily stood before the ornate entrance of the art gallery, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and dread. Tonight was supposed to be an exquisite celebration of art and culture. Yet, all she could feel were the suffocating expectations wrapped tightly around her. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, "Remember, you're not just representing yourself, you're representing us." As the invitees sauntered past, draped in designer threads, a knot tightened in her stomach. What if she didn't belong here? What if they saw through the facade of her glittering life? It was on her way there that she met Clara. A flash of color caught her eye, an art piece leaning against a crumbling wall, created from scraps and paint cans. Clara stood nearby, her hands stained with vibrant hues, a smile that broke through the grime. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, something shifted within Lily. Here was a girl who wore her struggles like badges, exuding a raw resilience that stoked a fire within Lily's heart. It was invigorating and terrifying. As they spoke, Clara shared her dreams of becoming an artist, her hopes brightening the shadows of her reality. "I have so many stories to tell," she proclaimed, her voice alive with passion. Lily felt a stirring, a yearning to break free from the gilded cage of her life. "What if we create something together for the school competition?" she blurted. Clara's eyes widened, disbelief morphing into intrigue. Was she really suggesting it? The thought sent an electric thrill through Lily, yet doubts fluttered in her mind. What would her friends think? Would they scoff at the idea, dismiss her intentions as charity? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As their project blossomed, so did the whispers around her, a chill of jealousy creeping in from her peers. What is she doing hanging around with that girl? The judgment wrapped tightly around her like a cold wind. Uncertainty clawed at her gut. Was she genuinely trying to elevate Clara's voice, or was she simply playing savior? Each glance, each smirk from the crowd chipped away at her resolve. It spiraled into anguish as a humiliating incident at school ignited the storm inside her, a viral video declaring Lily a charity case, amplifying her internal conflict until it felt insurmountable. Lily remembered Clara's laugh, that infectious sense of hope, but now it left behind a bitter taste. In the face of chemical reactions in her chest, she wrestled with the weight of her choices, blurring the lines between friendship and status. She couldn't outrun the fear of losing herself, the fear of losing Clara. The truths they unearthed shook her foundation of privilege. What if the very art meant to celebrate Clara's talent became the noose that tightened around them both? With her mind racing, in the build-up towards a climactic choice, they stood on the precipice of ruin or redemption, the echo of Clara's past illuminating the path ahead, a past intertwined with the art world Lily had always taken for granted. Desperate for clarity, she thought of the raw authenticity Clara represented, and yet, as whispers echoed in her mind, she felt the familiar, suffocating embrace of expectations closing in. In that moment of maximum tension, Lily realized she didn't just have to choose between her worlds, she had to confront everything she thought she knew. Would she embrace the courage that Clara embodied, or shrink back toward the safety of her privileged life? The choice loomed large, and the weight of it pressed down like a full moon heavy in the night sky, leaving readers at the edge of their seats, yearning for resolution. In the days that followed, Lily found herself ensnared in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, each day further unraveling her sense of identity. The aftermath of the viral video pulsated through her life, where the very air felt electric with judgment. Each whisper wrapped tighter around her like an unraveled thread, and she was left to confront the fragmented pieces of herself. Clara's laughter, once a buoyant melody, now reverberated with a hollow echo in Lily's mind, highlighting her inner turmoil. The project that had sparked their bond now seemed overshadowed by the weight of expectations she desperately tried to evade. Was she really trying to support Clara, or was it simply a desperate attempt to fill the void created by her own insecurities? A flicker of self-doubt ignited an internal war, forcing her to confront her motivations. Unsure how to navigate this new emotional landscape, Lily sought refuge in her art room, a sanctuary of colors and ideas. She stood before a blank canvas, brushes in hand. In that silence, there lay a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside her. The smell of turpentine hovered in the air, pulling at her senses. With each stroke, she felt herself moving through her feelings: frustration, anxiety, shame, all spilling out onto the page in an unguarded confession. Yet the beauty of creation gently beckoned her to discover something deeper. That afternoon, amidst the vibrant chaos of dried paint and scattered brushes, Lily had an epiphany. She realized that her struggle bore a striking resemblance to Clara's. They were both artists in their own right, each grappling with their truths, each yearning to convey their unique narratives. But was she courageous enough to redefine her path, to step into the vulnerability that true artistry required? Determined, she reached out to Clara. "Can we meet?" She texted, her pulse quickening with the anticipation of their next conversation. What would she say? The enormity of her yearning for authenticity surged within, propelling her to hit send. When they met in the little cafe where the air was thick with the aroma of fresh coffee, Clara's face lit up with genuine joy as she saw Lily. That warmth ignited something within Lily, and she felt the weight of her inhibitions slip away momentarily. "I've been thinking a lot," Lily began hesitantly. "About our project and about us." Clara tilted her head. "What about us? I want this to be real. I want to tell your story, but I also need to be honest about my own. I've been so caught up in what others think that I lost sight of why I reached out to you in the first place." As a moment of silence stretched between them, Lily's heart raced. Would Clara still see the potential in their collaboration, or had the external pressures of their differing worlds pushed them too far apart? Clara's expression softened as she absorbed Lily's words. "Art isn't just about the pretty pictures, you know. It's about the truth we carry," she replied. Her voice was steady, rooted in the very wisdom that ignited Lily's initial connection. Suddenly, a wave of resolve surged through Lily. Perhaps vulnerability could be their greatest strength. Maybe, just maybe, this collaboration could transcend their individual backgrounds and speak to the universal truth of resilience. But just as clarity began to settle in, a sharp fear crept back. Was it too late? Could their voices emerge unscathed from the critical gaze of their peers? The potential for backlash loomed, and she could almost hear the spectators' judgment echo in her mind. With feelings of uncertainty swirling, Lily knew there was only one way forward. She had to embrace the risk, to step beyond the gilded cage and merge her identity with Clara's truth. It wouldn't be easy, in fact, it would require every ounce of courage she had. As they crafted their narrative together, the true art of their lives began to evolve layer by layer, truth by truth. Yet, as they laid the foundation of their collaboration, a lingering thought troubled Lily: was she ready to face the consequences of their artistic choice? With the night approaching, and her heart pounding in her chest, Lily looked toward the future, where shadows of doubt battled against a rising dawn of hope. The path to authenticity stretched before her, illuminating the next steps with an intensity that both terrified and exhilarated her. Yet, as Clara smiled in anticipation, Lily knew one final question awaited: how far would she go to protect the story they were creating together? The urge to shield it from the world began to anchor her, whispering its deceitful promises. But could she stand firm against the tide? Only time would tell. Lily spent the next few days immersed in thought, her mind filled with the echoes of their last conversation. She felt the urgency to tap into her creativity, not just for the project but for her own healing. The upcoming collaboration with Clara was becoming less about external expectations and more about a cathartic journey toward authenticity for both of them. Yet, as clarity emerged, so did new internal conflicts. Standing before her easel once more, she surrounded herself with the colors that had once brought her joy. Yet, the brushes sat idle, heavy in her hands with the weight of her indecision. She questioned whether she had the emotional resilience to expose her own vulnerabilities, let alone share them publicly. Fear of judgment mingled with the thrill of possibility, setting up a frenzied dialogue in her mind. Each stroke was an invitation to explore hidden facets of herself: the timid artist, the aspiring storyteller, the friend grappling with insecurity. The act of creating felt electric, like a protest against the silence that demanded she shield her truth. Gradually, she began to paint elements of her story, using colors not just to represent emotions but to weave together the tapestry of her life. The once blank canvas transformed into a reflection of her heart, contradictory, raw, and unapologetically real. As she painted, a sense of urgency bubbled beneath the surface. There was no guarantee that she would be ready to present herself to the world, yet she felt the inevitability of facing a truth that could resonate with others in ways she hadn't anticipated. Would her art resonate with those who looked at it, or would they only see the insecurities she wore like labels? That evening, as she evaluated her progress, she found herself reaching for her phone once again. This time, her fingers flew over the screen, driven by a sense of purpose that had eluded her before. She formulated a message to Clara: "Can we start filming tomorrow? I want to capture what we create, not just the end result." Clara swiftly responded, her excitement palpable even through text. "Absolutely. I can't wait to see what you've created." The warmth of Clara's enthusiasm stoked a fire within Lily, but a new fear settled in. What if the world saw her work as incomplete or, worse, misunderstood? Yet, deep in her gut, she knew that avoiding the world wouldn't lead to growth. She had to embrace the journey, imperfections and all. Each flick of the camera would document the rawness of aspiration and acknowledgement of the struggles that fueled their narrative. As the next day dawned, anticipation clawed at her insides. They would dive headfirst into the unknown together, blending Clara's story with her own. The thought sent a shiver of excitement coursing through her. They had nothing to lose but their fears and everything to gain in terms of freedom. As Clara set up the camera, Lily felt an odd mix of anxiety and liberation. She took a deep breath and began to speak about her vision, her hands animated as she shared her thoughts. Each word felt like an act of rebellion against her insecurities, unmasking her authenticity while building a bridge to her audience. Yet, as the camera rolled, a deeper question embedded itself into her consciousness: what would happen when they had to reveal their true selves to the world? Could they handle the backlash or praise that might come? The confrontation with their artistic truths felt imminent, a reckoning that loomed just beyond the horizon. Lily sensed that the time had come for a pivotal decision: would they dare to showcase their unfiltered expression or retreat behind layers of carefully constructed facades? The thought was exhilarating and terrifying, but she knew one thing for certain: this journey would redefine not only their collaboration but their individual identities as well. As Clara adjusted the lighting, a determination sparked within Lily. Standing at this crossroads, she inhaled deeply, bracing herself for what lay ahead. It wasn't just a project anymore, it was a declaration of self. Would both of them be courageous enough to face the truth? Only the camera could reveal the path they would take, and with it, the future of their art. Lily focused her eyes on the lens, the anticipation weighing heavily in the air. All she could think was, how would the world receive the story they were crafting together? Suddenly, the stakes felt higher than ever before. The camera began rolling, the red light glowing like a firefly against the backdrop of their creative chaos. Clara's excited chatter momentarily faded into the background as Lily focused inward, wrestling with the burgeoning emotions that bubbled just beneath the surface of her consciousness. Each moment stretched, thick with expectation. She envisioned this moment for days, but now that it was here, the pressure intensified. Her heart raced at the prospect of sharing her vulnerabilities not just with Clara, but with whoever would later watch this footage. What if it wasn't enough? What if their truths didn't spark a connection, but instead elicited a wave of apathy from an indifferent audience? Lily? Clara's voice cut through her swirling thoughts, grounding her. What's on your mind? Let's start with your story. The sincerity in Clara's tone stirred something within Lily. It was time to strip away the layers of doubt and self-criticism, if only for a moment. Taking a fortifying breath, Lily began to speak. She opened up about the insecurities that held her captive for so long, the feeling of being unseen, unheard. Her words tumbled out in a disjointed stream, laced with fear but undeniably authentic. Each confession was met with Clara's supportive nods, fueling her determination to unfold the narrative that had long been locked in her heart. Then, something shifted. As she revealed her struggles, she sensed a weight lifting, like vapor dispersing into sunlight, illuminating hidden corners. Little by little, the realization dawned: her experiences were not isolated. There were others who shifted into the background, their voices muffled beneath societal expectations. This newfound clarity ignited a fire within her. She could visualize creating not just for herself, but for those who felt voiceless as well. Her art could serve as the bridge, a testament to triumph over trials. Keep going. Clara encouraged, her excitement making it easy for Lily to delve deeper. She began to construct scenes around her words, molding vivid imagery that mirrored her internal journey. Suddenly, each brushstroke danced through her mind, a collage of colors representing both pain and resilience. However, beneath the exhilaration lurked an undeniable fear. What if this raw honesty led to backlash? She could hear the critics in her mind, the whispers of too much, not enough. But, in that moment of vulnerability, courage bubbled forth. She channeled her anxiety into the narrative, transforming it into an act of creation rather than paralysis. The world might judge, but it could also embrace, and that was a gamble she was willing to take. As she spoke, she caught sight of her reflection in the glass panel of the camera. In that moment, she recognized a truth deeper than she'd anticipated: embracing her creativity meant embracing herself, flaws and all. Each moment captured through the lens became a snapshot of her evolution, a concrete step away from the margins of her self-doubt and into the expansive horizon of her potential. With the filming in full swing, Clara's guidance began to dissolve the remnants of Lily's self-imposed isolation. Together, they wove a story that was both vulnerable and unapologetic, blending their narratives into a single thread of resilience and hope. Yet, even as the energy in the studio surged with creativity, Lily understood that the final product was not just a collaboration, but a genuine representation of their shared humanity. But just when she felt a surge of empowerment, an unnerving thought struck her: would they be ready for the vulnerability that would come after the production? The thought hung in the air, electric and consuming. How would they function in an unfiltered world? Would they fortify their defenses against the possible negativity, or would they allow their open selves to shine through, regardless of the outcome? As the camera continued to roll, one question loomed larger than the rest: could Lily grapple with the ramifications of exposing her truth? The thrill of self-discovery clashed with the weight of impending scrutiny, each conflicting force urging her to confront the daunting reality before her. With this realization surging in her veins, Lily knew they were on the cusp of something transformative. Would they embrace the vulnerability that could lead to profound connection, or would they retreat behind walls of silence? Only the unfolding narrative could provide the answer, and she was more determined than ever to discover it, come what may. Lily swept through the final frame of her narrative, feeling the warmth of her convictions cradle her like a long-lost embrace. Yet beneath that warmth stirred a tempest of uncertainty. The weight of exposure loomed heavy, as if the walls of the studio had shrunk, pressing in on her very essence. She had crossed a threshold, unveiling a piece of her soul, but was she ready for the world's gaze? As Clara powered down the camera, she leaned back, awash in exhilaration and concern. "You did it," she said softly. Yet her eyes flickered with a hint of anxiety. They both understood the journey ahead far outweighed today's catharsis. Lily felt a rush of adrenaline, paired with dread. This initial act of creation, while exhilarating, was merely the prologue to a far greater narrative. What if sharing her vulnerabilities resonated with an audience? Or worse, what if it didn't? Those fears shackled her, threatening to pull her back into the shadows she had just escaped. "Let us review the footage," Clara suggested, breaking into Lily's spiraling thoughts. The sharpness of the prospect gripped her, both enticing and daunting. "Right now?" Lily hesitated, envisioning the raw vulnerability on screen. "Why not? This is how we grow. We'll learn what works and what doesn't." Clara urged, brushing aside the cloud of apprehension. Lily knew she should comply. After all, this moment was all about growth. But each frame would force her to face herself again, the doubts, the pain, and the resilience woven tenderly, yet exposed. With a hesitant nod, she followed Clara to the monitor. As the images flickered to life, she dared to dive into the sea of her experiences once more. Clara's playback framed every emotion, fears etched across her face, determination gleaming while portraying what had been brushed away for too long. "Look at you, Lily," Clara marveled, her enthusiasm warm against the chill of self-doubt. "You don't shy away from the messy parts. That's where the truth lives." Somewhere within those words ignited a spark. The messy parts, the fears, the insecurities, were the very essence of authenticity. Maybe this was the stepping stone to a deeper understanding, not just for her, but for those who would eventually connect with her art. But as the footage continued, her discomfort rose. What about the backlash she feared? Forgetting that anxiety was an inherent part of the creative process, she felt the weight of every moment, opening her to vulnerability yet again. Clenching her hands, her body tensed, bracing for judgment. Each flicker of light on the monitor seemed to carry the weight of social expectations. "Wait!" she called out as the video hit a pivotal moment, her eyes glossy and heart laid bare. What if they see it as weakness? Strength lies in vulnerability. Embrace it, Clara insisted, pushing back against the tide of her worries. Each encounter weighed on her spirit, filling her with questions that spun through her mind. What if being seen opened the door to criticism she couldn't withstand? What if her words fell flat, leaving an empty echo where she had hoped for connection? As the session drew to a close, Clara's excitement washed over Lily, but she remained rigid, a pressure cooker of emotions and fears beneath a surface facade. "Deep breaths, Lily. We will tackle this together," Clara added, misreading Lily's stillness as reassurance. Yet the truth sat uncomfortably, her defenses were still firmly intact. The thought that her work could invoke scorn rather than support gnawed at her insides. Lily knew she stood on the precipice of something profound, yet ambivalence gripped her heart. "Tomorrow," Lily finally murmured, "I feel like I need to do more reflection before we share this." Clara's smile faded slightly, concerned. "Just remember who you are. Embrace every part of this journey, even the fear. It's all part of your growth," Clara replied gently, and Lily could sense Clara's determination to stand by her side. In the quiet aftermath of their session, Lily faced her reflection in the darkened screen with lingering trepidation. Would embracing her fragility grant them vision or invite judgment? With the tension hanging palpably in the air, one thought began to solidify: she needed to reclaim her narrative, an act of empowerment that might bridge the chasm between fear and acceptance. But how would she transform this burgeoning clarity into action that would light the path ahead? The transformation was brewing, but the stakes were rising higher with every heartbeat. Would she muster the courage to truly own her voice? Or would she let the shadows reclaim her yet again? Lily awoke to the morning light filtering through her curtains, casting flickering shadows across her room. The footage from the previous day played incessantly in her mind, tormenting her with its rawness. Each frame unearthed emotions that had long lain dormant, and now, the weight of possible judgment threatened to suffocate her. As she sat on the edge of her bed, her gaze fixed on a framed photo of herself and Clara, once carefree, vibrant, and unidentified by fear, it slowly morphed into an inkling of resolve. She had stepped into a new territory, one where she could sculpt her narrative, yet the path ahead was riddled with uncertainty. Could she transform this hesitation into a bastion of strength? Determined, Lily rose and embarked on her morning ritual. As she brewed her coffee, her thoughts coalesced into a clearer vision. Today was a day for action, not inaction. Contemplation would not be her confessor but a catalyst. Perhaps she could begin to dismantle her walls by shifting her focus outward. What if she reached out to those she admired, seeking their insights on vulnerability and authenticity? With newfound intent, she grabbed her notebook. The pages were blank, but not for long. Each word inscribed would serve as a testament to her evolving understanding of self, a bridge spanning her insecurities to her aspirations. She jotted down a list of creatives she both admired and feared, artists, writers, and influencers who embodied the very authenticity she sought. Armed with her phone, she started crafting messages. Each word felt heavy with meaning as she tapped into the courage that flickered within. Yet, just as she reached out to the first person on her list, doubt crept back in, whispering reminders of rejection. Why would they respond to someone like her? But the very act of reaching out transformed the voices in her head, silencing the doubts just enough for her to persist. Hours passed, and she was caught in a whirlpool of emotions, balancing hope and trepidation. Each ping that signaled a response drew her closer to the edge of her ever-looming vulnerability. Finally, one email popped up from Rachel, a renowned filmmaker whose work always resonated with Lily's quest for truth. Her reply was quick, encouraging, and laden with wisdom that urged Lily to embrace her journey. Be a curator of your life. Your experiences, messy as they chime, are the very symphony that resonates with your audience, Rachel wrote. Those words fell like rain on parched soil. Here lay the potential for transformation, validated by someone Lily had looked up to for so long. Instead of retreating into her fears, the weight of authenticity now felt lighter, buoyed by the promise of connection. With renewed fortitude, Lily spent the rest of the day framing the narrative she'd long avoided. She envisioned a launch where she could finally share her story raw, real, and unfiltered. It wouldn't just be a film, it would be a message, a clarion call for those hidden behind their own walls of doubt. Each draft ignited a fire within her, stoking the embers of her transformation. But as she wove her narrative, a nagging thought swirled within her consciousness. What would happen when the moment came to share her work publicly? Would her strength withstand the scrutiny? Would she truly accept the crushing weight of judgment, and still find value in her voice? The rising tide of anticipation pulled her closer to a cliff both exciting and terrifying. Yet, with each written word, Lily embraced that tension, recognizing it as part of her evolution. As the day faded into night, she knew the time was drawing near. Decisions lay on her desk, stowed in the pages of her notebook. She was poised on the brink of revealing herself, but what awaited her on the other side of the leap? With her heart pounding and conviction rising, she whispered to herself what she had learned from Clara and Rachel: authenticity begets connection. The moment of decision beckoned, but would she leap? And thus, with the stakes at the highest, Lily wondered what revelations awaited as she finally revealed her voice to the world. The next morning, Lily awoke with the same resolve that had flickered into being the day before. The uncertainties lingered in the air, but clarity had begun to carve out a path through the fog. She had committed to sharing her story, but the exact form it would take remained elusive, each potential avenue presenting its own fears and insecurities. With a steaming cup of coffee in hand, she settled at her desk. The array of notes she had scribbled yesterday sprawled before her, fragmented ideas waiting for structure. As she flipped through them, a sense of determination seeped into her bones. She had to decide how to present not just the challenges, but the transformation that had emerged from them. The reality was, past struggles were not just obstacles, they were stepping stones. Inspired by Rachel's wisdom, Lily envisioned an intimate launch for her work. Rather than a flashy premiere, she considered a small gathering, just a few friends and mentors who understood her journey. This would create a safe space for candid conversation while allowing her to test the waters in a more controlled environment. Yet as she conceptualized this event, a deeper fear took root: what if her story didn't impact anyone? The echoes of doubt whispered insidiously, challenging her every thought. With a deep breath, she sat up straighter, resolve tightening her grip. The fear of failure could not eclipse the potential for authentic connection. Lily began crafting an outline for her narrative, her thoughts flowing as words turned into sentences. She devised a series of segments highlighting pivotal moments, each one starkly illuminating her struggles and resilience. Each draft became a slice of her life interwoven with lessons learned. The more she articulated her truth, the more she felt that she was not merely recounting events, she was gifting her audience the opportunity to see the value in vulnerability. When the pencil scratched against the paper, it felt like a lifeline, anchoring her as she wrestled with new insights. As she dove deeper into her memories, fragments of realization began to surface. The unexpected friendships she had formed, especially with Clara, had been pivotal, each one a pillar in her personal growth. But she also recognized lessons from relationships that had faltered. With each reflection, Lily learned more about resilience, boundaries, and the unwavering pursuit of authenticity. But soon enough, doubt nudged its way back. Would recalling painful memories make her unravel, exposed amidst a crowd of judgmental gazes? Those moments of vulnerability felt terrifyingly real as she envisioned standing before her peers. She questioned whether her recollections would captivate or alienate. Despite this turmoil, something shifted. Perhaps this was the crux of her story, the transformation from fear to empowerment fueled by her own experiences. She had the power to redefine her narrative, to reclaim and reshape those moments. What if her honesty served as not only a release for herself but as a beacon of hope for others grappling with their own challenges? With renewed energy, she dove back into her writing, each stroke of the pen fueled by an underlying belief in the power of storytelling. This process became an act of catharsis, and she began to visualize the gathering. She would invite those who had witnessed her growth, each person an essential thread in her tapestry. As dusk fell, casting a warm glow over her workspace, Lily took a step back, reviewing her draft. Her heart raced with anticipation and anxiety. Though a sense of bravery cradled her actions, she still wrestled with the gravity of her choice. Committing to sharing her truths was a leap into the unknown, one that could either elevate her or unravel her composure. But each doubt was now tinged with the realization that this was not merely about exposure, it was about connection. In that moment, she understood, the personal growth she had long yearned for was embedded in this journey, in the act of unearthing and sharing her narrative with the world. Would she dive in headfirst and lay it all bare? The words accumulated on the page, each line an invitation to others to join her voyage. And then, in a flash of clarity, another thought ignited within her: what if sharing her voice could inspire others who had hidden behind their own walls? Determined to forge ahead, Lily's breath quickened. She was poised on the brink of truth her own, and the thought surfaced: how would she navigate the reactions that would surely follow? Yet amidst the uncertainty, the pull of inspiration and opportunity outweighed her hesitation. A flicker of excitement ignited within her as the vision of that launch solidified. The challenge loomed ahead. Could she embrace the vulnerability and strength intertwined in her journey? With these questions lingering, the stage was set for decisions that would ripple out far beyond herself. As dawn broke over the horizon, a wash of pale light flooded through Lily's window, illuminating her workspace with a warm glow. Today was perhaps the most pivotal day of her journey. The air felt heavy with potential, and the lingering shroud of uncertainty clashed with an exhilarating undercurrent of purpose. This was not just about unveiling her story to others, it was about fortifying her own identity in the process. Lily sat at her desk, flicking through her notes one last time, then leaned back, closing her eyes. The fear that had once tethered her began to morph into something more manageable, something she could wield. She thought of Clara, who had boldly shared her own struggles. That courage had incited a quiet rebellion within Lily, a call to action that echoed loudly now. Could painful memories be reframed as markers of triumph rather than sources of shame? With a newfound clarity, she pulled her laptop close and began typing. The words flowed fluidly, punctuated by flashes of vivid imagery that captured her past experiences. The warmth of friendships formed in the darkest of times mingled with the lonely moments of doubt. Each paragraph blossomed with emotion and authenticity, stitching together a narrative that reflected not only her struggles but the lessons each encounter had imparted. But as the outline solidified, the creeping insidiousness of doubt slinked back in. What if sharing these truths led not to liberation, but vulnerability that shattered her? She vehemently shook her head, dismissing those thoughts. This was not about her fears, it was about the reflections cast in her story. If she faltered now, she would be robbing others of the opportunity to find solace in the shared pain. After a long, contemplative session at her desk, Lily decided it was time to reach out to those she envisioned inviting. Connection. It was what had been missing, and now she was on the verge of forging it. She pulled out her phone and hesitated. Inviting them meant sharing this journey, it meant becoming vulnerable in front of those she admired, a prospect that rattled her core. But she took a deep breath, the air invigorating her spirit. Messages flew into her group chats, each confirming their attendance, and as she pressed send, a surge of exhilaration coursed through her. Lily needed a safe space, and those selected were steadfast pillars in her world. She trusted them to understand what her journey meant and to engage authentically. Their presence would fill the void of anonymity and judgment she dreaded. It was a critical step, yet it also amplified her awareness of the implications. Each person she wrote to was not only a participant but an audience fully aware of the weight of her revelations. As the hours swung by, she found herself overlooking trivial details of the launch. Her heart thumped against her chest when she realized she hadn't truly thought about how she would feel standing before them, words tumbling from her lips. Sharing such raw emotions was one thing, witnessing their faces was something else entirely. Would they perceive her authenticity, or would they struggle to see past her vulnerabilities? She pushed herself up, pacing as she grappled with the internal ping-pong of passion and doubt. Clenching her fists, she confronted her reality. Growth seldom came without discomfort, so perhaps facing her anticipated anxiety head-on was precisely the point. Standing in that sacred space of authenticity could provide spaces for growth not just for herself, but for those around her. Night crept in with thick shadows, wrapping the room in a somber embrace while her thoughts surged like waves crashing against a shore. The gathering would be a threshold, a transition, an act of forging bonds based in honesty. Lily acknowledged the tension singing beneath her skin, a blend of fear and anticipation that had transformed from paralyzing to motivating. The whispers of doubt faded, replaced by the drum of determination fueling her desire to confront the unknown. But even as her energy shifted towards optimism, another thought snared her mind: how would she navigate the potential backlash or disappointment if her truth didn't resonate? The pang of insecurity clawed at her resolve. As she pondered this reality, she recognized that the art of storytelling bore the weight of impossible expectations. Exhaling deeply, she leaned over her notes once more. This was her moment, and despite the murmurings of self-doubt attempting to entangle her narrative, she had to remember that sharing her path could bring others together in ways she had yet to comprehend. With determination in every keystroke, she typed a new line. It represented not only her story but the very essence of her growth, a pathway to connection through shared experience. As she pressed save, her heart soared, ready to stand on the edge of her truth. Would she be able to embrace the possibility of rejection, or would embracing vulnerability set her on an even deeper pathway of discovery? The anticipation of the gathering loomed ahead, and with it, the tension tightened, urging her forward. Lily's heart raced as the impending day loomed closer. The throbbing pulse of anticipation melded with an unease that settled intently in her gut. Each sunrise brought her nearer to that moment of revelation, and she couldn't shake the feeling that the very act of sharing her narrative could either break open an exhilarating world of connection or expose her to an uncharted territory fraught with rejection. The gathering was a mere 24 hours away. She forced herself to confront these tumultuous thoughts instead of suppressing them. Standing before the mirror, she practiced the words she'd prepared. The reflection staring back was one of determination, yet it was flecked with apprehension. "Your story matters," she whispered to herself, though the echo of her reinforcement felt hollow amidst swirling doubts. How did she measure her truth against the weight of others' experiences? Was it fair to expect understanding from those who had never walked the same path? As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting golden hues that danced around her living room. Lily finally allowed herself to surrender to a more profound introspection rather than hesitate in the face of fear. This was not just a gathering, it was an expedition of sorts, diving into the ever-broadening depths of her emotional landscape. The realization struck her like a bolt: this meeting could redefine her understanding of vulnerability itself. She grabbed her journal, the pages worn from her tumultuous journey, and began drafting potential responses for questions that her guests might pose. What if someone dissected her choices? What if they questioned her motives? With each scenario she crafted, she felt a strange sense of empowerment growing within her. It dawned on her that she had the ability to articulate her journey and redefine the terms of engagement. Instead of contemplating responses steeped in defensiveness, she chose to reflect on how to embrace her authenticity, even if it unraveled like a frayed thread. Hours slipped by as she pored over her notes, each stroke of the pen reaffirming her resolve. It dawned on her that her experience had molded her in ways they might not understand. Her resilience in the face of adversity had yet to be measured. Could sharing her highs and lows invoke a semblance of resilience within them too? Pacing the room again, Lily plotted her next move. Framing her narrative would involve revisiting some of the most painful moments of her past, yet the idea of wielding that pain as a source of strength made the prospect of facing her friends easier. It was a rethinking, a pivot in her narrative, a transition from a mere recount of suffering to an exploration of growth, transformation, and resurgence. The clock ticked softly, a reminder that time was a relentless force edging closer to her threshold. She breathed in, steadying herself before typing the final points of her outline. There it was, a surge of clarity. She would delve into her chaos, revealing both beauty and pain intertwined. As the night wore on, anticipation turned into a structured plan. Sharing her truth would not just require courage, it would demand vulnerability intertwined with undeniable strength. But just as her pulse began to settle, another thought washed over her. What if the call to reveal her truth resonated more profoundly than she had imagined? What if her story propelled conversations she hadn't prepared for, questions surrounding privilege, empathy, and the intricacies of understanding a life different from one's own? As the darkness enveloped her room, she felt the weight of those implications, propelling her deeper into a chasm of excitement and fear. The moment drew closer, and beneath the surface of her well-laid plans, new dilemmas began to unfurl. How did she convey the complexities of her experiences without drifting into territory that could put her on trial instead of behind a shield of solidarity? Lost in these thoughts, Lily understood she was at the precipice of transformation, not just for herself, but perhaps for those who would listen. With dawn tantalizingly within reach, she took a deep breath and resolved to meet each doubt with questioning, fully embracing this unpredictable journey ahead. But the deeper she dove into those mental preparations, the more she felt the chance of something unscripted bubbling below. What if unanticipated truths emerged during the gathering that shifted her understanding of connection entirely? This feeling hung on the air like a question mark, lingering and demanding attention as the night deepened around her. Lily awoke the next morning to a riot of birdsong filtering through her curtains, the sun stretching its golden fingers across her room in a gentle embrace. Today was the day. It was finally time to share her story. The gravity of the moment teetered delicately between excitement and trepidation, anchoring her thoughts in a whirlwind. Yet, beneath the fluttering anxiety lay an undeniable resolve, one she had cultivated through hard-won self-discovery. Standing before her mirror, she donned her favorite dress, its colors a vibrancy that mirrored the growth she felt within. As she turned from side to side, she observed the reflection of a young woman who had wrestled with insecurity and doubt. No longer just a product of her upbringing, she had emerged with an authentic voice, ready to reclaim the narrative of her life. The realization shot through her, crystallizing a sense of clarity. Today wasn't merely about her story, it was about inviting others into an experience of growth through shared truths. As she set up the small gathering, each friend trickled in, filling the room with laughter and chatter. Lily's heart pounded with each new face, the unbridled joy anticipated mingled with a faint thread of apprehension. But standing there, surrounded by friends who knew more than just her crafted persona, the nerves gently faded as she realized she was among allies. When the time came to share, she took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of their hearts surrounding her. "I want to talk about vulnerability today," she began, her voice steady but heartfelt. It was the first word that slid off her tongue, but it was a word that would unravel her deeper struggles. "For too long, I've been afraid of being seen. I wrapped myself in the cocoon of expectations. But I learned something through the journey of collaborating with Clara." She paused, searching their faces for understanding. "I discovered that authenticity thrives in the messy parts of life, and embracing vulnerability has been my Achilles heel." As she wove through her tale the challenges of judgment, her friendship with Clara, the evolution of their artistic collaboration, each word acted as a testament to her growth. She spoke of the fears that clung to her like shadows, yet also the illuminating moments that had stoked the fires of her confidence. As she shared, she could feel the air shift, laughter bloomed at humorous anecdotes while solemn nods acknowledged the weight of her struggles. With every shared laugh and sigh, the walls around her crumbled further, transforming the gathering into an intimate conversation about the power of embracing one's truth. She illustrated how their collaboration had birthed a greater understanding of art, how it was birthed from raw experiences that demanded to be heard rather than hidden. The room was electric with connection of a different kind. Her vulnerability resonated deeply with her friends, and she could feel the authenticity bloom around her like a garden freshly watered. They began to respond, sharing their stories, vulnerabilities, and triumphs, allowing her to witness their own journeys of authenticity. Emotion surged within her as this dialogue unfolded. She felt validated, empowered, and supported in ways she had never anticipated. This was more than just her moment, it was a collective acknowledgement of the beauty that lay within shared struggles. For the first time, she grasped that true achievements don't just reside in accolades or recognition but in the poignant conversations sparked by shared experiences. By the end of the gathering, the atmosphere brimmed with newfound energy. They agreed to move forward, committing to checking in on one another, dispelling the self-imposed barriers they had each created. Lily understood that this journey was not finalized, it was only the beginning. She had conquered her fear by embracing her voice and recognized the beauty that thrived in vulnerability. As they parted, Lily could feel the warmth of her friend's support wrap around her like a protective cloak, fortified by the bonds solidified through shared truths. Leaving the gathering, she stepped into the evening air, the sky painted in soft oranges and purples, a mirror of her internal transformation. She was no longer a girl plagued by fear and comparison, she was a confident young woman, ready to navigate her life authentically, an artist who would share her story unapologetically. With each step, she absorbed the satisfaction that came from her growth, each heartbeat echoing her commitment to authenticity. She knew this was just the beginning of many steps forward. Clarity pulled her into the promise of more meaningful connections marked by understanding and courage. As the night deepened, a sense of genuine fulfillment settled within her. She had mastered not just the art of creation but also the courage to embrace who she truly was. This was her moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of taking action.